Oh, I guess I guess we don't have a countdown video today since Joey Ryan ain't man in the booth. I'm I would say I'm a man down, but really I'm a man up, and that's the way I'm gonna go and look at it because I've upgraded to my main man Michael Panozzo of Billiards Digest. Mike, how you doing?
Good. I'm like that cheap date you can always call at the last minute when your real date's.
No, when I need Joey may get replaced here pretty soon. No, I'm kidding. But no, we always appreciate you having you on the insight, of course, the history to the game, Mike. So I wanted to ask you, Mike, how's been the home experience for fans online following everything going on here in Vegas?
I think it's been pretty good. I mean, the matches have been good. I think the stream's been strong. It's really nice to have that free stream. There's no doubt about it. Everyone can just click in, jump in whenever they want to. Brackets are updated pretty regularly. So I think for the home viewing experience, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I'm kind of back here away from the pro arena, so I've been kind of having my own at-home experience here at the Rio.
Yeah, right. You're watching the
following,
same one I am, right?
yeah, so I'm following live online brackets. I'm following live scoring, and everything seems to be doing pretty good. Everywhere I look, there's like I don't know, 87 streams going on, at any given time.
Right.
So that's fantastic. And the great thing about the TV arena is that they're switching it up. They're not having the same players, and it goes and hits a lot of markets, which is what I like. Brings in fans from all over the place. Right now, we got two strong Asian players that are playing on World Billiard TV, and Livan Corteza and Copigny. So, I mean, just everywhere you look, man, it's landmines all over. But it wasn't without upsets starting yesterday, or the first day, rather. Jason Shaw goes down. Me and Joey kind of talked about this a little bit, but it seems like the upsets have not seemed to go away, Mike. It seems to continue.
Yeah, well, well, for Predator, it's a good argument that the upsets that happen in the shorter races are no different than what's happening in the longer races. So from a talking point standpoint, it's a little bit of ammunition to defend the other format. But just I think with more tournaments, you're going to find more upsets. Because a lot of these younger kids, a lot of these, secondary are getting a lot more opportunity to play this year because there's so many events, big events. And I think they're starting to get a little more comfortable. There's just a lot of players out there who are really super talented, who can beat anybody on any given day, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it all over the place. Last night, Jason Theron, South African player, beats Billy Thorpe. And I know we haven't seen a lot of Billy over the last few months, but I guess nobody would have gone and picked him. Just a few minutes ago, a gentleman by the name of Eric Roberts goes and takes down a world champion and deals fine. So it's like everywhere you look, there's big names going down, but then it's also bigger guys. Well, he's small in stature, but bigger kids going and putting their footprint on this event, which is just, for me, it's fantastic.
Yeah, well, Sanjan's still rolling pretty good, right?
Man, I tell you, he's picking up where he left off, Mike, from the European Championship. He took down the 10 ball, and I don't think any name's going to go and affect him, especially because he's young, fearless. He's got a decent enough break to be formidable. And if you can go and win in Europe, you can go and win here, Mike.
And he's got the moxie and the self-confidence to make a good run if he wants to. He's got the talent.
Yeah, no doubt. I've really had a great time out here, and like I said, the whole atmosphere here at the Rio has just been it's a buzz unlike any other. And I went live earlier and was showing everybody around in the pro arena, Mike. And it's just been packed. I mean, I know we got teams here now, but the people that are watching professional players play, when I've been here now, maybe the last 4 events, maybe, and the increase of fans that are watching professionals go and play has steadily gone up, which I think is great for the game.
And that's a great sign. It's kind of validates the thought process of these more events and making them easier for fans to watch. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think the idea that everybody can watch these matches free anytime gets them more involved and more invested. But if they're in the area, if they're on the site, they're not going to miss a match. So it's all these things are kind of working together to help build up, that crowd and that following. If you create some good personalities, some white hats and some black hats, then you can get some real fan bases rolling.
Yeah, and without too many jobs, it's good to see things that just gonna leave it at that. So, but it hasn't been without its fair share of drama. Fairly criticized, but effort to go and change things up on Predators end. Um, it's you got to take the good with the bad, Mike, right? But what I think is we've been watching these players go and play over the issues they've had with conditions. Um, the effort that we've seen from the CSI team, from the Predator team, has just been phenomenal to make sure that they want the same standard as the players, and the players go and appreciate it. And yeah, man, it's a great time, man, because in a few days we're gonna have a world champion being crowned, which is just my favorite time of the year.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff. And hopefully they'll get the playing condition, issues
They
ironed
have,
out. I mean,
yeah.
it's something that's going to get, they can't run into this problem again. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean,
you can have a problem once and people give you a pass, but if it continues, then it's a problem.
I think it's effort, Mike. Like if you fall short on something, but you're genuine and your desire to go and fix it, people are going to go and give you more time. If it was just some no name coming off the street, I think people would kind of roll their eyes. But Predators got an established reputation already, so I think that'll kind of hold them over. And we're actually going to have Karim on, CEO of Predator, this afternoon, which I'm really looking forward to. And it's funny because yesterday he comes up to me and he says, "Mike, you can ask me whatever you want. All the gloves are coming off. So we're going to kind of grill him a little bit, but we're also going to show him some love where it's due as well. And I'm beyond excited for it. Mike, I wanted to ask you because I seen you were in Louisville recently.
Yeah, I was in Louisville yesterday. I drove down there. It's only 4.5 hours from Chicago. I wanted to spend an afternoon with Federer, Gorst, and Christina Koch. Just because they should be out there with you guys right now. It's a tough situation, and it's a really interesting, situation what they're going through and how they're dealing with it, what their hopes are and what their fears are. And it's all about
a lot of unknowns, Mike. Seems like nobody knows when.
There are unknowns. When is it going to end for them? How are they going to be treated? And it's a real downer. I mean, you look at someone like Federer, and this is the second year in the last 3 years that he's gotten like the rug pulled out from underneath him for no fault of his own. Between COVID in 20 and now this in 21 and 22. And this is one of the very best players in the world. In like not really the prime because he's still so damn young. I mean, 21 or whatever. But this
he's hitting on all cylinders though.
He is.
If you were to go and ask the average person who watches professional pool who's the best player right now, Federer might be at the top of that list. In the now moment.
Gotta be, and so to have this this year taken away from him, it's just really horrible.
How are they hanging in there mentally, Mike?
They're hanging in there well, and Federer's a pretty let things roll off his back kind of guy.
Right.
If there's nothing he can do about it at the time, he's going to move on. And I think, I talked to them a lot, and I certainly having each other has helped a lot. Rather than if each one of them had been kind of like on their own in the U.S. and didn't have that sounding board that that best friend to talk to, I think things would have been a lot more difficult. But they're doing okay. They're keeping their schedules busy with other events, and they're going up to Wisconsin. They're going to spend a couple of days doing exhibitions and challenge matches and sign a few balls or whatever the case is. But believe me, they'd rather be out in Vegas for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we even see him in the media out here. We're walking down the main corridor heading into the event center, and there's a picture of Federer, and he's won at least the Predator Series event 2 times now. We all know what a big 10-ball break is. Like 9 ball is more gambling for me.
Yeah.
10 ball. Because I think it can be wide open at times, right? If somebody has a good enough break, and depending on how things are laying out, because I think towards the end of 9 ball events, especially on the higher level, it's a lot more consistency there. But in 10 ball, it seems like the cream kind of rises to the top.
Yeah,
It's rare that
and
you're
he,
going to see like
certainly would have been one of the favorites.
Mike. He would have been like a top, 3 favorite in this event.
Yeah,
I think it probably would have been Shane, Federer, and who else? Maybe Jason or Copigny, even though we haven't seen him in a few years. Or John Lin. I mean, easily top 4. But it's it's kind of bittersweet, though.
Yeah, it's not a great situation, and I really think that I would like to take a run at petitioning the WPA to.
What do we got to do, Mike? Because if we can do this if they can have it in tennis, and I brought this up to Emily yesterday, if they, like, where is that voice for them towards at least that being discussed, or if it has been discussed,
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm happy to try to be one of those voices. So I'm kind of putting stuff together on paper now to run up the flagpole with the WPA and the WCBS and get them to rethink the situation. I mean, there's a couple of tricky little things that you have to make sure you cover.
Be careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful, and you're gonna put them just throw them in international tournament situations with players from Eastern Europe, and how's that going to go down, and things like that. So, but I think the bottom line is you can figure that stuff out if you want to, and I think that the WPA's decision, and WCBS's position, has been mostly based on not wanting to ruffle feathers at the IOC because they're kind of like the redhead stepchild anyway. So my thought is do what's best for the sport, do what's best for your game, and the IOC will understand.
If they need any help ruffling feathers, tell them I know a guy who's really good at that. All right. Across the industry, I am not shy when it comes to ruffling any feathers. And speaking of ruffling feathers, there's a WPBA event that's starting off, I think today, Mike, the women's event, which has been great. Although I got to be honest with you, seeing some of these ladies out here, they kind of turn the other way at me, so I'm, some may not be too happy.
Well,
just being, full disclosure here, Panozzo.
Yeah, well, now you know what it was like to be Mike Panozzo for like 20 years during our heyday. Every time I walked into a room, I don't care if we were in Palm Springs, I had to wear a parka because it was a little chilly in those rooms for me when I walked in. So, hey, they they take things personally, and they should. I mean, that's part of they're a union. They hold together. They stick together. They don't like anybody being against them, and so that's fine. It comes with the territory. But and speaking of the women, I did look at the draw for the 9-ball, and I see April's in there, so she's got her spot in the World 9-ball Championship.
Oh, in the World 9-ball, yeah. I thought you meant this event. No, yeah, it's been it's great to see that the ladies playing. For me, Mike, been watching pole now for maybe 17 years now. When I was 20, 21 years old, and I remember watching in the heyday of having the WPBA events on ESPN and watching the Guy Youngs and the Shouting Pans and of course the Karen Kors and the Fishers and all that. So I always enjoy seeing them go and play, and I love watching women go and play at a high level. It's a funny story. So I was going yesterday to the back in the Salado booth where they're at, and they're close to the right by the pro arena, and a WPBA member, which will remain anonymous. I saw them look at me, and they were like, "Oh no," they just turned away, and I was like, "I just came to hang out with the Salado boys. I wasn't coming to go start no trouble, but we're gonna have fun with it." And you know what? Listen, it didn't always go over so well with Predator when I was starting to go and put my voice out there. It wasn't always starting off the best with Matchroom, and we've come this far. So hopefully we'll make progress. But in the meantime, they're going to have a great event going on, and I'm happy for them. And I hope they're, it's competitive. There's a lot of great women players who can go and run balls, and some international women players too that are here playing as well, Mike.
Good, that's great. I mean, I always loved in the early days when I started with the magazine. All the events had men's divisions and women's divisions.
Right.
And that was always some of the most fun times to me was when the men and the women were playing together in the same hotel at the same time. And there's just an extra level of camaraderie and that bond that's between them as pool players. So I love the idea that the women and the men are all playing in the same arena.
I got to give them credit, man, because they do a really good job of, number one, branding themselves, number two, interaction with the fans. And not that the males don't, because they do, Like if you go up to, whoever it is, a Federer or a Kachi, anybody, they'll take a picture with you. They'll smile. I mean, hell, I got, my office is filled with photos like that, and they'll shake your hand and say nice to meet you and all that. But the ladies just got a different energy about them when it comes to interacting with the fans, and even yesterday, Damien from Jam Apparel had Allison Fish in there. Man, there was a line around the corner to go and get things signed and pictures taken, and it's cool that they're making that effort, Mike.
Yeah, they've always done the best job of marketing themselves as a group as women players, and all the TV exposure from the '90s and early 2000s certainly helped. So, it's great to see that. I think the men can learn a lot from watching. The women just treat it a little more professional, but it's part of their job. Um, so, they go out and look for it. They go out and look for the opportunities to interact with the fans, hang out at the booth and sign autographs, things like that. So, that's one of the things they do best.
No, I couldn't agree more. And you're right, because this is actually, now that I think about it, I think this might be the first WPBA event that I've ever been to. Now that I bring it up, but I'm excited. It's going to be great, and I wish them all the best. And just like everybody here at the World Championship, it's going to be a good time. But after this, Mike, everyone's going to be heading on a plane over to the UK and playing for a World Nine Ball Championship. And I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, it's a pretty cool looking field. I was looking over the draw, and it should be as the Brits say, a real cracker. One of my favorites. But yeah, no, it's great field. Should be a great event. I mean, I caught the interview with Emily, and it sounds like they really, you know, they always try to reestablish a new mark, right? And they have these large events as far as the design of the arena and the number of cameras and the bells and whistles and flares and fireworks and whatever it is. Every time they do another one of these events, they try to up the ante a little bit. So I'm looking forward to see what comes out of the World Championship. I think it's going to be great.
It's an interesting perspective, Mike, and what comes to mind is, this little tiff between the two major promoters in the industry. Maybe it'll help each other, continue to push one another to just make things better and better and better.
Yeah, we can hope for that. It's
It
right
remains to
now.
be seen. Be optimistic.
Right now, it's not a good look, and right now it looks like the only people who are going to get hurt by it are the players. So this tug of war with establishing turf and protecting your turf. The WPA, if ever they want to show that they've got some spine, they need to step in and say, we're going to get you two at a table, and we're going to tell you how this is going to play out.
What do we got to do to get them on the show, Mike? I mean, I've made enough enemies in the industry. I got a few spaces, here still. What do we got to do to get them on the show?
It's an interesting question. I mean, we can always reach out to a couple of the heads of the WPA now and say, do you guys have the stones to get on the show? And let's throw some questions at it. But they need to step in here and mediate. They're so worried about, one side or the other is going to pull their sanctioning or sponsorship or whatever, and the WPA is going to. The WPA needs to have a spine and get up and sort this out. I mean, I heard you guys talking yesterday with Emily, and I looked at the WPA calendar, right, for 2023, and I didn't even look at January and February because the calendar is kind of from March to December. 152 days are booked on the calendar for what appear to be matchroom events, international WPA ranking events, right? Or the way they're listed.
Say that number again, Mike.
152 days just from March to December that are slotted out, okay? That have no names. That have no names of the events. Just say international event. Dates are booked, okay? So that's
over 9 months.
That's 21 weeks worth of. So you add January and February, and there's not much going on in January. If you add February in there, or I don't know, maybe they start the schedule in March with the PLP or whatever it is, but that's
a lot, Mike.
And it was. I talked to Karim from Predator a couple of days ago, and one of the things I expressed to him was my concern that this is going to be this race to who can secure dates first. And they're all going to just fill up dates and then put in the events later. And that's
Right.
a terrible way to run things. And I'm not saying that Matchroom doesn't have some of those dates pinned down with their broadcast partners, although I find it really hard to believe because what they've always talked about in the past was, you have to wait a lot of times because the broadcast partners are the ones that tell you we have this window, you have to plug your event in here. This is what we have. I find it hard to believe that their broadcast partners have all these dates pinned down for September, October, and November of next year. Now, some of these events might be Euro Tours, okay, which is a whole different story. If these are Euro Tour events, then I'm going to assume that the Euro Tour has agreed to up its prize money next year, because that was one of the stipulations this year, right? Was that Euro Tour events like that are going to get in a little bit. We're going to give you some leeway the first year with things like prize money and added money, but starting next year, you're going to have to step up. So if any of these dates are Euro Tours, I'm going to make the assumption that the Euro Tour is coming with a lot more money next year. So, and if not, then again, it's just fill in the dates to protect yourself and squeeze out the other guy. And I wouldn't, I'm not blaming Matchroom or Brett. I wouldn't want either one of these guys doing this. This has got to be sorted out, and it's something that the WPA has to figure out a way to do, because they look like complete idiots right now, and this is just going to become a turf war thing that everyone's going to lose.
They look completely incompetent, Mike. I don't know what the hell they do, but if ever there's a spot for them to go and get involved in, it's this. To be fair, the one thing I will say is, at least, Emily and Matchroom will go and take the criticism head on. Kareem today, it's our first time having him on the show, and he was very upfront about the fact that, hey, you ask me whatever you want to go and ask.
Right.
Whatever it is you want to go and discuss, I'm willing to be, open and honest about it, and give their thoughts versus trying to put guidelines on it, right? Because the fans have a lot of questions, and we know the players are the ones that are going to be hurt the most by having to go and pick and choose and see what side of the sand you're going to go and be on. But I think there's enough room for everybody. Hopefully, but there's got to be some middle ground between all this.
Well, it takes a mediator. It takes someone in the middle who's not married to either company or any other promoter, and says, let's get this straightened out. Don't look at me. That would be.
I might know a guy, Mike.
That would go down as one of the worst ideas you've ever pitched on the air.
I'm just saying, you're never gonna make anybody happy, and I mean, I don't want to turn into a pissing contest, but at the end of the day, right. I enjoy watching.
The biggest fear.
Yeah, I enjoy watching great pool, and there's going to be a lot of it. We're going to be lucky enough to be able to watch most of it. I know I have DAZN. Of course, we have access to YouTube and all that great stuff, all the free Facebook streams that have been out and about here. It's going to be a good time, man, and I'm excited. I'm going to be. Hopefully, I'll find some time to go and get some rest. Mike, I wanted to get your thoughts on just a couple more things here.
Yeah,
we saw Billy, here on the World 10 Ball. We also saw Billy's name in the World 9 Ball Championships. I'm wondering if you can go and provide any insight. I know you got a direct line to the WPA.
Yeah, you know what? I've been in touch periodically with the WPA and their president, Ian Anderson, for the past year, since Billy first tested. It was announced that, someone tested positive, and it was Billy. And there was never any definitive statement made. So Billy found out from WADA that he had Terror or whoever that he tested positive, right? And he heard that it was a 2-year ban. I don't know who told him that. Emily said yesterday she talked to Billy, and she said that last year she had been in touch with someone who told her that Billy couldn't play in his event. I'd like to know who that was who told her that, because
me as well.
I guarantee Ian couldn't have told her that, because the whole time Ian told me that this was a WADA decision. And WADA is the World Anti-Doping Agency, right? They're the ones who conduct the testing. They're the ones who do the analysis of it. And they're the ones who send out the punishment. They're the ones, and Ian told me from last year, every time I emailed, he said, I haven't heard from WADA yet. And we don't do anything. They're the ones who determine what the punishment is. And so I said, well, if WADA hasn't determined this yet. Could Billy still play in these events until it's been determined? And he said,
Right.
theoretically, yes. But if he's in something, they couldn't have him in the Mosconi Cup, because if he was in a Mosconi Cup and WADA came down with their ruling in the middle of the Mosconi Cup, he'd have
They're
to
down a
quit
ban.
the match and walk out, right?
Because it's a
But other
WPA
events, like
sanctioned event.
the U.S. Open, he could have rolled the dice last year and played in that. The International Open, he could have rolled the dice and played in that. And I don't know if he knew that then. And even now, even most recently when he got into this, I emailed WPA again and said, what's up with this? Said, well, we've still never heard from WADA, so technically he can continue to play until they mete out their actual punishment. So,
It's
it
it's
sounds
pretty.
like if there's one group that's less competent than the WPA, it's WADA.
I love that. I love that. No, you're right, but it's a pretty shitty situation, Mike. And what I mean by that is, it's like you have a cloud hanging over your head. That at any time, the hammer can be dropped down. The last, basically from September of last year until now. So we've already like 7 months. And to go and travel and have all that expense, and to basically know that you can go play, do your thing, and all the success in the world, but it's like at any time, that can go and change. It's scary, man. But credit to Billy, because he's thinking about things outside of the pool also.
Yeah.
And he's got a good head on his shoulders. I like the approach that he's taken to all this. Personally, but
That's
pool's
just too
better.
bad that he missed all those opportunities.
Yeah, but I mean, he's young too, Mike. So pool's better whenever he's around. I think he's a great ambassador for it. I think he's got a lot of personality that a lot of fans like to go and watch. Hopefully, we can go and see him on the Mosconi Cup this year. But anyway, Mike, listen, I appreciate you taking the time to go and be on. We're going to be on a little bit later on. I'm going to try to get, hopefully we can have you on too. I'm going to try to get Eric Roberts, man. That kid's just been making waves all over the place. So as soon as I get set up here, and real genuine kid. And he just took down Neil's Fine, man. So we want to get him on. We want to interview him. Mike, me and you will be in touch later today, and then of course we got CEO Predator. So you guys won't want to go and miss that. So we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Great, thanks.